Let's talk about the real cost of heating your house with firewood. We'll let that fire get going. While it does, we burn wood. We burn quite a bit of wood. We use bulk wood, firewood as our primary heat source. We go through roughly 3 cords of firewood every year. A cord of firewood is a stack of firewood that's 8 feet long by 4 feet tall by 4 feet wide. So around here, to buy a cord of firewood just like this that's cut, split, and delivered costs about $325 to $350. We usually buy loads of logs. They come on a truck. Usually you can get 5 or 6 cords in a load. Some of the big trucks, you get double that. Takes a while, it takes a lot of work, but we end up buying that wood for about $180 to $200 a cord. Most of the time people are burning things like maple, oak, rarely popple, a lot of white birch, yellow birch, things like that. We save a little bit of money buying the logs, but we invest a lot more time. And when we want to save time, we use this pellet stove, which burns wood pellets. These are the pellets we use. We can get them locally. Our pellet stove really seems to like them. They come in 40-pound bags, and we get a ton of them on a pallet, and we usually go through about 2 tons of these a year, on top of the 2 or 3 cords of firewood that we burn. This is important. The max BTU is something that we pay attention to, especially when you compare it to firewood. Because when you know BTUs, it's actually pretty easy to determine whether you're saving any money based on other fuel sources for heat. So we know the BTUs of these pellets. We can look up and get a rough idea of the BTU value on our firewood. And when we compare that to fuel oil, it becomes a pretty interesting math equation. So I did some workbench math to put all the numbers together to explain the cost difference. So we'll start off with wood pellets. So we know that we need about 92 million BTUs per year to heat our house, based off what we've used in the past and what we've used this year, and a general idea of how much that costs, as well as doing some math on the BTUs produced from each fuel type and how much of that fuel type we've gone through historically. We also know that our house is 2,700 square feet, give or take, with a 900 square foot first floor, a 900 square foot second floor, and a 900 square foot third floor. So 16.8 million BTUs per ton is the heat energy that we would get from pellets. That means we would need 5.4 tons of pellets per year to heat our house to what we like it. 1 ton of pellets goes for about $350. $350 multiplied by the 5.4 tons of pellets we would need gives us $1,890 total. Divide that by 2,700 square feet for a total cost of 70 cents per square foot. That's not bad. So now let's move it over to chunk wood, or regular old firewood. This one's going to vary a lot because wood species have very different BTUs based on the type of species they are, but an average of 20 to 25 million BTUs per cord is what we're going to use for today's calculations. So if we use about 4.09 cords per year to achieve the 92 million BTUs that we need, that's dividing by 22.5 as a midpoint between these two. If we get it cut, split, and delivered, 4.09 cords times $350 a cord, which is a little on the high end, but close to the going rate around this area. That's going to cost us about $1,431 per year, or 53 cents per square foot. If we buy log length, 4.09 cords times $200 per cord is $818 total for all of our heating needs. That's 30 cents per square foot. And that sounds like an amazing deal. But what it doesn't take into account is the fact that you need to do all the work, you have to own all the equipment, you have to be able to split it either with a hydraulic splitter or with a hand maul. You've got to move it around, you've got to organize all the work, get it stacked, and the list just goes on and on and on. Not to mention bar and chain oil for your chainsaws, the fuel that it costs to run your chainsaws, the oil mix for your chainsaws, the fuel that goes into your wood splitter, and the chiropractic bills after you put up 4 or 5 cord of wood every single year. But finally, let's compare it to fuel oil, because that's going to be typically what people are burning around here, fuel oil or propane, if they're not using chunk wood or pellets. We know from research that fuel oil is going to give off, in theory, a little less than 138,000 BTUs per gallon. This is the amount of energy that's in the fuel oil, similar to the amount of energy that's in the pellets. You're not going to recover all of that from either one because of inefficiencies when burning. So these numbers are a little bit off, but they're close enough for what we're trying to get to today. If we go with that 138,000 BTUs per gallon number, we're going to need about 667 gallons per year minimum to heat our house the way that we currently do with wood and pellets. Now, fuel oil is one that changes a lot, so we were in 3 different costs per gallon to figure this out. So at $3.50 per gallon, at $4 per gallon, and at $4.50 per gallon. These are all reasonable numbers. I did check with a local supplier and verified that it's pretty likely you might see any one of these prices at a given time throughout the year where we are in central Vermont. At $3 a gallon, we're going to need about $2,334.50 worth of fuel oil to heat our house. That comes out to 86 cents per square foot. At $4 a gallon, we would need about $2,668 worth of fuel oil, which comes out to 99 cents per square foot. And at $4.50 a gallon, we would need about $3,000 worth of fuel oil coming in at $1.12 per square foot. That is a huge range of numbers, and there's a lot of caveats and pros and cons to each one of these systems. The reason we burn wood and pellets is, number one, this house did not come with a furnace. It did not come with anything but one little Rinnai heater in the basement that's currently disconnected. We don't even use it because it's really not good at heating our house. So for us to put in a heating oil system or a propane system or a mini split or a heat pump of some kind, geothermal, all of those have a barrier to entry of $10,000 minimum, probably more like 20 or more. And we just don't have that kind of money. And if we did, I don't know that we would prioritize it on a heating system. We burn wood because it keeps us moving. We burn wood because we like the type of heat that it produces. If you're not in a state that has a lot of heating needs, you may laugh at this, but different types of heat feel very different in the home. And if you're used to wood heat, it's really hard to break away from it. We also burn wood because this thing doesn't need power. Nobody has to come and drop off fuel for us if we want to stay warm. It works whether the lights are on or off. It works if it's 25 below or if it's 40 degrees above zero. It just works. It's easy to maintain. There's not a lot of moving parts and pieces. We can fix everything that breaks on this wood stove, and it's up to us to keep our house warm and not somebody else. And that's important to us. So that's the full breakdown. That's what it costs to heat our house with all wood products. Yeah, there's a lot of labor involved. There's a lot of unseen costs compared to what you look at on that sheet that I just showed you. But we look at it a couple of ways. We don't pay for a gym membership. We don't worry when the power goes out. We can cook meals whenever we want, even if we don't have power. And we're self-sufficient to a certain extent. But as of now, we get wood where we can. We buy it when we have to. We process it when we have the time. We prioritize it because it is our heating source, and there's really no excuse not to have it. And hey, if you like this video, if you're interested in learning more about this stuff, or if you're interested in homesteading, if you're interested in how we live, if you're interested in some of the projects we have going on, please don't forget to subscribe to this page. We're trying to get it off the ground. If you're not familiar with us, we do have an Instagram. That's where we built our original following. Head over there, check us out. Make sure to subscribe, share with your friends. We'll see you on the next one.